Hey everyone, how you doing? Thanks for hanging out with me. It's Matt C, and haven't done one of these in a couple weeks. Mostly, I've just been working super late most evenings on pages for Wild Tales, coloring pages for Wild Tales, trying to get it done and to the printer this September, this month. It's already the 3rd, and I'm sweating, but we're on track. So I'm listening to more people. I don't know. I don't know why I do this. Listening to people discuss comics, which usually means, you know, critical reviews of mainstream culture, of which I do not consume, imbibe, transmute. I I just feel like I'm in someone else's culture. I'm just living in it. You know what I mean? I'm not of this culture. And I don't know. And maybe everyone feels that way to some extent because the culture's too monolithic and the country is too big. Pop culture is too monolithic. It always has to be, right? It always has to have a narrow focus to have a stronger edge to it in some particular direction. And with how holistically integrated everything in culture is through social media and just kind of our online exposure, that's going to mean that culture has to be more rigorously defined and narrowed, I suppose. And and what does that mean? It means American Gothic. I think American Gothic is there's some sort of media. See, this is why I'm not. This is their culture. I'm just swimming in it. I don't know. It's like a TV show or something. But as a genre, I know what it means. American Gothic is a particular subgenre of Gothic. So you've got the Gothic, you've got the castles, you've got spooky things like a supernatural element, preternatural to some extent. Sorry about all the sound. It is a rainy day, and I am. This is a drive time update. I am driving. The only way I could get this to you is in my 12 minutes to work. You guys tell me if I make it in 12. Probably not. I rarely do. But American Gothic is a very particular, like when I describe it, you'll know exactly what I mean if you don't already. Did you ever have to read William Faulkner in high school? Basically, American Gothic is there's an old hierarchical, aging, dying, pale, male and stale culture that is oppressing and dominating a younger, vivacious generation that is struggling to breathe. It can't flourish under the cobwebby past, which is threatening to conform the new generation to this sort of semi-dead status of just kind of reclining back into a structure that does seem to work for a few, but doesn't work for a new liberated class. It sounds like I'm just describing, I don't know, some sort of, what are the terms people say? The SJW woke culture or something like that. This is a genre that if you can depoliticize it in a way, if you just think of it in terms of a liberation movement more generally, which is how it classically, I guess, applies to novels. This has been around for 100 years, and some would argue, I would argue, that it's been around since 1776, or before that even. because that's kind of it is a deeply American sentiment to think of the past as uh, uh, a dying world. there's 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 a structure that's stuck in the past and needs to be thrown off. It's a revolutionary spirit, right? And we're a revolutionary country, one of the countries that had a revolution and won. So it's in our founding documents to think this way, basically. So whenever we're writing stories, whenever we're writing classically American stories, they tend to lean in this direction of out with the old, in with the new. And obviously there's a lot of ways to go about that. There's a lot of ways to tell stories. One of my who's the president from the 20s who kind of helped the Roaring 20s happen by intentionally trying to do nothing? Coolidge, my one of my favorite presidents, and probably yours too, if you listen at all to my videos. Presbyterian. Gonna say that. We've had 2 Presbyterians. I was gonna say the only Presbyterian president. Second would be Trump. Nominally, I don't know. I didn't get a lot of Presby bona fides from him, but for better or worse. But Coolidge was our first, and he believed that this the out with the old, in with the new, the American Gothic spirit meant a progress from less freedom to more freedom, from more laws to less laws, and we make ourselves more and more self-governable was the principle. And then FDR happened. So there's your history lesson. And so I just think it's interesting as culture shifts, as a reactionary, as the youthful spirit does succeed, and it tends to do this about once every generation. In America, as this youthful spirit kind of overthrows the old regime and founds a new shining city on a hill that can't be oppressed. As we do this every generation, that new generation, as it transitions out of that oppressed class into the new, the promised land, that promised land has to start defining itself positively and negatively, not just against what came before, but has to start building new kind of rules, right? New ways of protecting itself against opposing forces, which of course turns into another hierarchy. It starts becoming cobwebby and needing its own revolution by the next generation. And we get that, obviously. Just look on social media any day of the week, and you will see different forces trying to stress this a revolution against a revolution. That's kind of how we do things. We always have in America. It feels particularly intense now because it's particularly we're more connected into the zeitgeist than we used to be on a social level, because of the internet and because of how legacy media has adopted a social media style approach to getting attention and fomenting controversy for clicks. That sort of ad-based multimedia approach, I don't think anyone would say that's a net positive. Certainly a net, it puts you in a state of permanent revolutionary anxiety. And that's the way they like you, because fear generates clicks. But so just think about that when you think of whether Shang-Chi is the first. Are Asian Americans finally getting a story with Kung Fu that features people of an Asian background? Some would say that Kung Fu movies are, you know, are older than color films, but don't let them know that, because in order to be a story that fits well with the zeitgeist, it has to be revolutionary. It has to be the first. It has to be overthrowing an older system of oppression to bring life to something, and that something gets permanently revised and discussed. Hold on. Lots of noise. It's drive time. It's drive time update. At least you're not getting my video. Yeah, it's just something to think about. And everyone's doing it, right? So it's just a matter of how you're going to define those structures. What needs to get thrown off and what needs to be preserved, so that you can, so that the castle, the old dusty castle, can burn down with all of its terrible secrets and skeletons, and you can find fresh love out in the. It's getting. That's the regular Gothic creeping in, but you get it. Everything's Jane Eyre. Everything's Jane Eyre. Yes, that's European, but yeah. So American Gothic. Every story we tell, if it's a quintessential American story, is a Gothic American story, and that Gothic framework is never not defining and redefining us. So that's our problem, and I doubt it will ever change unless we forget that we're a revolutionary country, I suppose. Which would be pretty tough. I think Xi Jinping might have to. We might need a few more years of his industrial imperialism before that happens. But we'll see. So let me know what you think about American Gothic. I think it explains a lot about superhero comics, for instance. I think it explains a lot about the television that's out there that we make in America. A lot of our tentpole features and our Oscar bait features in film are usually very, very often. I mean, every story I can kind of think of that at the top of those charts are American Gothic, if you think of it generally. Yeah, and I don't think it's one of the strongest features of other cultures when you go and visit them, is that they generally aren't thinking in this Gothic framework. They're not looking for something to overthrow. They're not searching out a system to critique, per se. They're usually a little more settled and have a more of a linear view of things, where they're just thinking of themselves within a timeline of events, of people, generations of people who struggle with things that are very similar and often internal or universal. And we're very, very uncomfortable with universals in America, especially generational universals. If we are interested in that, it's in how we all have a revolution to foment, and yeah. So grab your muskets. Yeah, thanks for hanging out with me. Look at that, 14 and a half minutes. Didn't get here in 12. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.